On another exciting episode of the Animation Deliberation podcast, we can all finally exhale as My Hero Academia Season 6 is finally concluded. We have Season 6, Episode 25, No Man is an Island. We're going to talk about that and much more right after these ads we have no control over.
Sing along if you know the words. A 1, 2, 3, it's time for Animation Deliberation. A conversation and a celebration of our favorite action animated series. Yeah!
Yeah, welcome back to another episode of Animation Deliberation, the podcast where we take action animation and cartoons seriously, but not too seriously. We are your hosts. I am Zuhair Ali.
My name's J. Scotty St. Clair.
And boy, oh boy, has it been a wild 25 weeks with this show. Like, as much as I'm going to miss it, we need these couple of months to just process.
Yeah. I need to take a bath. Things are so much better when you just get a chance to take a bath.
Clearly, that's the solution to all of life's problems, is good katsu in a bath. So before we get into this episode, we have a little bit of news to break down. First thing is that Spy Family Season 2 is slated for October 2023, and Spy Family Code White, the movie, is releasing on December 22nd, 2023. We were talking about how we can't get enough of this family, and now we get more of them this year. How are you feeling about that?
I'm over the moon. I love the Forger family, and I thought Season 1 was excellent. I think the bar is only going to be raised with Season 2. It's awesome to get a concrete date so early on in our schedule, and plus the movie to look forward to. Just give me all the Spy family. I'll take it. How about you? How you feeling?
I'm ecstatic. I geeked out when I saw that. I texted you guys right away. Like, did we have a date confirmed? Because I'm really excited right now. I need to make sure I'm not behind on this.
Right.
But yeah, definitely very excited to have more of this content. Can't get enough of the Forger family, and hopefully gonna be very excited to see them on the big screen.
Definitely. All right. In other anime news, a little bit different anime news. The Scott Pilgrim Netflix anime series is reuniting the film's cast from Michael Cera to Chris Evans. So we have Variety reporting this, and this is pretty big news coming from Variety that we're basically getting the entire cast that was a part of Edgar Wright's 2011 film. Everybody's coming back. So we have an extensive list here. Michael Cera, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Satya Baba, Kieran Culkin, Chris Evans, Anna Kendrick, Brie Larson, Allison Pill, Aubrey Plaza, Brandon Routh, Jason Schwartzman.
Jeez.
And I'll save the other one. Mai Whitman and Ellen Wong, just to name a few more there. In addition to that, Edgar Wright is going to co-executive produce, and as far as the music goes, Anna Managuchi, who composed the music for Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, for the video game rather, will provide original songs for the show, and they're going to be working with Joseph Trapanese. So, on top of all of that, we do have the animation studio attached to it, and that is Science Saru, who they did a couple of entries for Star Wars Visions, is what I recognize them first and foremost from. So lots and lots of talents going into this thing, and I am very excited because I love that film. Super underrated film, but an excellent film.
That is an insane roster to retain. I'm blown away that this is happening, really.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those movies where it's like, I didn't see it, and then so many people were giving me crap for not seeing it that I didn't watch it out of spite, and then I happened to watch it over COVID because I was bored. Wow, and I was like, oh my god, why did I wait so long to watch this? So this movie is fresh in my head. I'm very ecstatic for all these people to be coming back, and we get to talk about it in anime form. Like, that's super exciting for us.
Yeah. I gushed about it already just reading the news, but I am ecstatic for this one. So hopefully we'll get a release date sooner rather than later.
Yeah, definitely going to be looking forward to that. And as we mentioned last week, we're changing the format up of the show a little bit, where every week we're going to have one episode, probably Thursday or Friday, that covers all of the news of the week. We're going to have the stuff that we're watching, our animates, and that's where we're going to read off all of our feedback too, so that we have like a once a week consistent show for all of our listeners. We know we have a lot of people who check in for the Disney related stuff or who check in for the anime related stuff. So because we love hearing from you guys, we're going to switch things up so that we can give you shorter feedbacks and more content within the month so that we can talk about more things. We can talk to you guys about more things and then have a weekly congregation of just excitement of animation. So if you guys have any feedback on that or any questions or just feel like talking to us just to talk to us, email us, DM us, all the stuffs. We can't wait to hear from you.
Yeah. On that note, we've actually got a couple of pieces of feedback this week that we're holding off to address on this first news episode. In addition to that, I can probably tease that the Super Mario Brothers movie is releasing next week, so we will both try to make time to watch that. Maybe if Andrew can watch it as well, we will all talk about it on that news episode. So look forward to that.
Woohoo!
Let's go.
Let's go talk about my hero.
Indeed. So we are season finale time. We are talking about season 6, episode 25, No Man is an Island. And coming at you with the synopsis. All Might arrives at the site of his final battle in Camino, lamenting his failure as a teacher and a hero when he is confronted by Stain. Even after briefly revealing his muscle form to confirm his identity, Stain refuses to believe he is the real All Might. All Might explains his feelings on being unable to make a difference due to the state of the world, only for Stain to show him a young girl who has been going out every day to clean the All Might statue from its vandalism, the last person All Might saved. Stain tells him it wasn't power that made All Might great, but his ability to inspire others. These words start to move All Might. Stain promptly leaves, handing All Might a data disk he had retrieved from Tartarus, telling him to kill him when the time is right.
At UA, the boys give Izuku a swift soak in the bath, where Bakugo redeclares even after his apologies he still sees everyone as his rivals. After their cleanup, All Might arrives to apologize to Izuku, telling everyone they received information indicating the final battle is soon. Izuku finally falls asleep, and the rest of his classmates declare they will do everything to restore peace. All Might meets up with the police force, where they decode the information from Tartarus. They discovered that All for One's consciousness with Shigaraki was able to communicate with his real self through the radio waves quirk, which is a conversation revealing that Shigaraki's body will be complete in just 3 days. All Might requests immediate aid from foreign heroes, with the world governments unsure how to respond due to their own issues. Despite this, America's #1 hero, Stars and Stripe, heads to Japan on her own with an army of fighter jets, intending to assist her master. Shortly afterwards, Izuku wakes up from a nightmare greeted by his classmates, whose presence help him relieve him of his stress, intending to save the day together.
Alright.
I will have to say, with how traumatizing this season has been, this episode itself wasn't mind-blowing.
Sure.
I was expecting I called that All Might and Stain were going to have a big conversation, but it didn't quite hit as hard as I expected. I enjoyed it. Let's
Sure.
be clear. There's nothing about the show that I do not love.
Sure.
But just compared to everything being overwhelming, I'm finally whelmed with this episode.
Sure.
And like I said, because of how emotional heavily everything has been right now, it's nice that we were able to just kind of calm down a little bit and go, because there were so many revelations that are happening. I'm glad that this season ended on a relaxing note that can just kind of give us peace and patiently wait for the next season that we know is going to be not only emotionally traumatizing, but a bomber. But when the #1 American hero came in, of course I was sitting in my chair going, USA, USA, USA. I was so excited for that. A lot of good storytelling to come. What did you think of the episode?
Yeah, I think we're basically on the same page. I wasn't blown away by this episode, but with how emotional the last few episodes have been and how they've been so resonant and been firing on all cylinders, it's not unexpected that this episode would be a little more tamed. I did find myself gravitating towards the first half of the episode a little bit more in terms of my overall enjoyment. I thought the conversation between All Might and Stain was pretty riveting.
Mhm.
I knew there would be a confrontation. I suspected some conflict, but even though Stain was kind of wary, like whether or not this is All Might or not, and it's the first time we've seen All Might use his muscle form in like forever, so to just get that flash
Yeah.
was kind of nice. I did appreciate, like, there's always been something different about Stain and the way he's inspired other villains that seem to have this like code of honor.
Mhm.
Um, but then, of course, it was really just nice to see Izuku be able to be a student again and like really relax a little bit and enjoy his time with his classmates and really kind of see Class 1A unite and get behind him and say, yeah, we're doing this together. We're going to set the world right. And I thought Ashita got some nice, funny moments when she was kind of lambasting All Might, like, if you're going to apologize to us too. I just love the way she was animated in that moment. And then Mineta was hilarious the way he kept like mimicking Todoroki. Like, it was so funny. Like pretty much after he was like he made that call about, oh, this is how you enter a room with this pose. Like after he acknowledged that, anytime you see Todoroki and Mineta on screen together, Mineta is mimicking Todoroki, and it is hilarious.
I loved when he got smacked in the back of the head, and it was just
Yeah,
the bubble that like jiggled, and it was still like maintaining his stance.
yeah. Um, I do want to address the back half of the episode. All that information and revelations, like they're obviously going to drive the story forward, and they were good.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I just the way it was told, it seemed very exposition heavy rather than like it was all done through conversation rather than really like showing us anything. So I did find
Yeah.
myself kind of like, this is a lot to like listen or read actually because I'm reading the subtitles rather than
Yeah.
listening to the dialogue. But still entertaining.
Yeah, it's the beauty of watching it back in the dub when the season is over, because maybe just
Mhm.
like hearing the dialogue will help me understand it. But there was points where I was like, I'm very confused what they're talking about right now. But
Yeah.
it seems to be that All for One is able to communicate back and forth specifically because of this radio quirk.
That's what I gathered. Yeah, their level of
Okay.
synchronization and was enhanced because of the radio wave quirk. Whereas like All Might referred to his ability to have stream of consciousness within his own consciousness within um, One for All,
Hmm.
but it only had it go the other way that one time that he was kneeling there when Izuku was having his big moment with the vestiges and whatnot. So um, yeah, their time. The big takeaway is that their timetable. They went from thinking that like they had like 2 months to like realizing that they have 3 days. So
Gotcha.
yeah,
So the whole Deku stuff that happened over the time span of a month, roughly.
I guess so. Yeah,
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
that's still a long time for a kid to be
Oh
on the
sure,
streets like that.
definitely.
Yeah, so definitely a little confusing, but there is just that shock factor of, oh boy, 3 days.
Yeah,
Like the second that we come back, it's like right back to business.
yeah. And they keep calling it the final battle, and I've been made it a point not to get spoiled by any of the manga spoilers. But I'm wondering like if at this point they're saying this is the final battle, and we know we're getting a season 7, like just makes me curious about what the future of My Hero Academia holds. Like once they
Hmm.
defeat all for one, or excuse me, one for all, are there like more
You got it right the
villains
first
that?
time.
Oh, okay, I always do. I always second guess myself, but yeah, I'm curious to see what other kind of villains will emerge because Overhaul was definitely a cool one that wasn't necessarily like tied to the League of Villains or
Hmm.
Shigaraki or All for One by that extension. So or One for All. Now I
Got to remember the selfish one is one.
yes.
um,
You keep telling me that, and it doesn't work.
that's what I'm always telling myself when I pause to like process which one it is. Um, but so I have heard that next season is supposed to be like the last one, but the manga itself isn't finished, so like it could go anyway.
Mm.
Speculation wise, it'd be interesting if the All for One story concluded next season, but the Dobby story didn't,
Oh, there we go. Okay, that's fair.
because that was something interesting that Naruto did, was that they got to a point where it was like we have big issues at hand, but they had like their 3-year time gap, and that was when there was a gap in the production of the show, a gap in the manga. They took their time to just kind of like take a break from everything and like recompose, and then they had the rest of the season come out. So if they have a plan to end the story next season, I trust them to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But there's been too much character development and growth to not be able to see like what their futures are, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Deku's dialogue even ended with, and this is a story of how we became the greatest hero. So it's like there's got to be something between here and when you're an adult. Like,
Yeah. I noticed that change from season 1 as well. In the beginning of the show, he was saying, "This is how I became the number one hero." Now we're saying, "This is how we became the best heroes." So, yeah.
It's all speculatory. Obviously, if you read the manga, you're probably just sitting there screaming at us. But thank you for not sharing what actually happens.
Yeah, looking at you, Fabian. Appreciate you. We did have some feedback. Do we want to go ahead and address that, or do you have more that you want to say on the episode?
Last thing I want to say is that bath scene was everything. It was just hilarious, goofy, and Izuku's eyes just being super huge while he was, just being pampered. Just everything about that was incredible, and it was definitely the laugh that we needed. We've had like snippets of it in all the episodes, but we haven't had it to that scale in a long while. So it was very, very heartfelt to see. I like that him and All Might like apologized to each other. He was like, "You taking care of me was the only reason I was able to go that long. I'm so sorry that I left you," because we saw how beat up he was afterwards. I hope that we get some heroes from other countries too. Like we got the tease of America, but I definitely want to see some other ones. In
Definitely.
in the third My Hero Academia movie is when you got to see other countries and how they were, like working together and different heroes from those countries. We got it. Was the Egyptian dude from the movie or from the show? I can't remember.
He was in the movie World's Hero Mission. I remember calling him out because he was like a paper thin, like pharaoh, hieroglyphic looking. And I think we saw a flash of him last week.
Was it last week or this episode?
Was it this episode?
I thought it was this episode.
It might have been.
It
was
when the council was talking about like sending resources over.
Yes, you're right. Yeah. Because they were talking about he's basically like maxed out, like he spread himself so thin. I realized it as I was saying it.
Your face, like, I know what I'm doing here. Your face had no pun intended written all over it. Oh, that was amazing. So yeah, I mentioned it with the first movie and the braces, like how they reference movies, but the movies like aren't technically canon. So that was like another peak of like we can take this little bit of information and work with that. So I'm hoping that this does expand and we get to see like the world presence of this.
Yeah.
I think that's all I got. Let's move over to the feedback.
Okay, sounds good. So we've got Jonathan Kim writing into us with his Season 6, Episode 25 feedback. And just a reminder, Jonathan, we did get your Season 6 overall feedback, but we're going to save that for that news episode we teased at the top. And Jonathan says, great wrap-up episode for one of the best seasons yet in My Hero Academia. The best part of this episode was the interaction between All Might and Stain. Another great writing as it shows a villain to bring a realization to the hero on his effect to the world. As the audience, we forgot that All Might also took on that burden that Deku carried, and it weighed heavy in his heart. Great to see that he was able to speak out. He was able to speak out to none other than a villain, and just like the whole season, it showed One for All is about the connection. Not only through everyone in the vessel, but the bonds they forged and the lives they touch is the true power behind it. Also, it was nice to see Class 1A all reunited and taking a well-needed rest before Shigaraki wakes up again. In 3 days. Can't wait to see more of Stars and Stripes and see what she can do in the next season.
3 days is wild.
Yeah.
So before we go on, top 5 My Hero Academia moments. We are having a whole episode on that next week. So you have another week. You have another 5 days to send in your feedback. We would love to hear from you guys. We got a few messages on Facebook. I'm sure we got a couple of DMs and a few emails, but I think this is going to be really fun. If all of you guys could, send it so we can all reminisce together. Some of you guys already got called out, and those people already sent in some. So, kindly requesting the rest of you. Let's relive all 6 of these wonderful seasons.
Yeah.
I think this is my favorite season now.
It's definitely up there. I've been on record as saying season 2 has been my favorite so far, but this one is definitely vying very closely for best overall season. It really upped the ante in a lot of ways, and as much as I love Class 1A and UA High School, really getting more exposure to the society and world of superheroes at large was much appreciated, especially with Mirko kicking things off into such high gear in the beginning of the season. I knew exactly what I was doing with that one.
They're not always intended, but they always kick when they are. That was bad.
It's okay.
That wasn't intended. That was just bad.
It's okay. It's all right.
It doesn't deter me. They will keep coming. They can't all be winners.
Yeah, that's right. So, you got to carry that burden just like All Might and Deku.
Skinny or buffed up, we take on the challenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's it. It's been a wild season, man. I'm excited to relive a little bit more of it next week. I'm excited to rewatch this as a dub. And probably end of this year, I'm excited to see what season 7 has in store for us.
Likewise, I couldn't have said it better myself. And just got to throw this in. It's completely off topic, but I was thinking of Jonathan because we just read his email. And I remember Jonathan recommended the anime Ranking of Kings. And I just wanted to say, I have started watching Ranking of Kings and definitely enjoying it. So thank you for the recommendation. The animation style is like so unique. It's kind of like a throwback to like animes of like the 60s, 70s, and like early 80s almost, and almost has like a Hanna-Barbera. Like I'm thinking like Astro Boy, Speed Racer, but just, another great anime. So everybody out there, if you haven't checked out Ranking of Kings, I recommend it.
Oh, it's only one season. I could knock that out.
Yeah. Very, very bingeable.
I'm still finishing Mob Psycho for Andrew. So I got to do that. And then Ranking of Kings is high up there on my list.
In your ranking?
I'm
on a
more
roll
of a
today.
queue than a ranking, but we'll take the attempt.
You got to watch it before you can rank it. Yeah.
All right. Mob Psycho, Ranking of Kings, Blue Lock, and then Vinland Saga are on my list right now.
Yeah, Vinland Saga is pretty high up on the list for me as well. Mob Psycho because it is so digestible as well. And then Blue Lock has actually been recommended to me again recently. So we're kind of on the same page.
Season 2 of Mob Psycho.
Okay, cool.
But having these new broken down episodes is definitely going to make it a lot easier for us to cover all of this content, even if it's just like season or series reviews.
For sure. All right, as we wind down here, is there anything you want to let the people know about?
So just as usual, if you're a sports fan, check out 323 with Reed Murphy. Me and Brian V. Klein from Source Pages recorded an episode talking about seasons 1 through 4 of Black Clover and how excited that we are for the movie that's coming out on June 16th on Netflix. And lastly, I covered the whole John Wick series from the first movie all the way to the fourth that's currently in theaters on Bingers Assemble. So if you haven't got tired of my voice yet, check out any of those.
Great. And as for me, I teased it for the last couple of weeks, but Stranded Panda has a new show called Multiverse News. And we had our inaugural episode drop March 29th. It is led by Matthew Carroll of the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, as well as Haley Hobbs from Source Pages and Jay Sisson, who you may have heard on Bingers Assembles, but he's also a co-host on Commute the podcast. And I rounded out the panel there. So it was a lot of fun just talking about the world of movies and all the franchises and fandoms that we love. So please go support that show. It's just getting started. So reviews and downloads are super helpful.
And don't forget to review ours while you're at it.
Of course. Yeah, of course. All right. So that's going to do it for this episode. Thank you everyone for tuning in. That's TOONIN.
B+ Ultra. And as always, stay whelmed. Thank you for listening to the Animation Deliberation Podcast, a proud member of the Stranded Panda Network. If you would like to contact us, you can email animationdeliberationpodcast@gmail.com or follow us on Twitter at animationdelib1. For this and other great shows, you can visit strandedpanda.com or join the great community that is the Stranded Panda Chat Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/svchat. Tune in next time, and remember, stay whelmed.